Viewers, good evening and welcome to Sunday Politics on Trust TV, your hub for in-depth analysis on major developments in politics, policy and governance. I am Hamza Idris. Tonight we take a look at the International Customs Day, a day set aside by the United Nations to reflect on the pivotal role of the customs in shaping global trade and cooperation. It is rooted back to the establishment of the World Customs Organization, WCO, in 1952. The Nigerian Customs Service, one of the nation's key revenue-generating agencies and a gateway to one of Africa's largest economies and market, has lined up a series of activities to celebrate this day and reposition for improved service delivery. On Sunday Politics tonight, we examine the theme of this year, which is customs delivery, on its commitment to efficiency, security, and prosperity, as it aligns with the core objectives of the Nigerian Customs Service. And to help us understand the significance of this day and some of the milestones achieved by the Nigerian Customs Service, we are of course expecting in the studio ACG Dera Nnadi, MNI. He is Assistant Comptroller General, Strategic Research and Policy. Of course, he will join us in a while. And here in the studio right now, we have AC Abdullahi Maiwada. He's Assistant Comptroller of Customs, who is also the National Public Relations Officer of the service. Welcome to our program.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
And congratulations ahead of your celebration, which commences tomorrow, right?
Thank you very much.
All right. And viewers, of course, in the course of the program, we will open the telephone line for you to call and ask the officer here some relevant questions in relation to what customs are doing in Nigeria and beyond. Once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And I'll just take you straight to the theme of your program, or rather to start with, what is it about, the World Customs Day?
Thank you very much once again for this opportunity. As stated earlier, the World Customs Organization, which is WCO, set aside every 26th of January to celebrate International Customs Day. And each and every year there is a theme that is designed and that is captured for Customs Administration to look at it as a pivotal, something driving in their activities for that year. If you recall, last year, Customs Administration have a team that is all about partnership.
Yes, partnership.
That is Customs partnering with traditional and new partners for purpose. And in our last CGC's conference, that is the Comptroller General of Customs Conference 2024, we also domesticated that theme, and it was the driving a kind of force for our activities in the year 2024. This year again, today is 26th of January.
Exactly.
And obviously we ought to have celebrated that day today. But because it's a weekend, so we are celebrating tomorrow as also a customs administration, a very strong customs administration in West and Central Africa region. Now, the theme for this year, as stated earlier, is revolved around three elements.
Yes.
Now, customs, the first element has to do with efficiency, it has to do with security, and it has to do with prosperity. Nigeria Customs Service also is celebrating these three milestones in the last few years of existence of customs. I said few years, it's just over 100 years. We are in existence since 1891, so we're over 130 something years, 34 years.
But the celebration started in the 50s. When I calculated, it's around 72, 73 years.
Yes, 72.
Now, can you say that Nigeria Customs,
yes,
you people have come of age?
Definitely.
Compared to what obtains in other clients?
Well, I think if you look at customs, Nigeria Customs Service as an administration, you know, WCO has different regions, and we fall within the block of West and Central Africa region. If you recall, last year the CGC handed over the leadership of WCO, vice chair of WCO West and Central Africa region, to a Malian customs. We are very strong pillars in terms of activities of customs worldwide. If you realize also customs in 2023 also around 2022 December or January 2023, we hosted a world conference called Global Fragile Border Conference,
Global Fragile
Border Conference, the first of its kind in the world.
Because maybe Nigeria's borders are so porous.
No. It's enabling customs in conflict-affected situation. That is the theme for that conference. Okay. And we hosted that conference worldwide. Customs countries around the world, custom administration, over 100 countries around the world came to Abuja here, and we hosted. So we have a very key role in the international community when it comes to custom administration. Now, if you look at the last year, you realize there are a series of trainings that regional trainings that usually take place here in Nigeria. It may be training on valuation, training on risk management. All those are training anchored by WCO, World Custom Organization.
But when you form that, is it because you are larger in
We are
size?
larger in terms of in terms of capacity, in terms of technical know-how. If you realize, I think Ghana Custom came and saw we have Customs Police Unit. And they said this is a very modern role model police unit. And
just like the way we have military
police. Yeah.
You also
and they saw that, and they saw the way they perform, the way they are carrying out their responsibility. And they said, we want best practice. We want to learn how you are doing this. So also we as an administration, we also do benchmarking to learn from other administrations that have gone very, very far in terms of some areas
of the peer review
customs operations. So let's look at those three elements. What are we doing in terms of those three elements? Good. One, we talk about efficiency. What is efficiency in customs parlance? If we talk about efficiency, first is trade facilitation. Now, what do you do to facilitate trade? There is element in trade facilitation. One, simplification of your procedures. You make it standardize your activities. After standardization, automation of your processes and procedures. So if you are able to simplify, standardize, automate, then you'll be able to facilitate trade effectively. And looking at those three elements of trade facilitation, then we are efficient in terms of what we are doing in our activities in customs. And I can give you an example of so many elements of trade facilitation. We have started AEO, Authorized Economic Operator Program. We have started Advanced Ruling System. All are trade facilitation tools that we have started here as customs to make sure that there are no impediments, there are no encumbrances to trade in Nigeria.
All right, I have some follow-up questions on the first theme, aspect of the theme before we move to the second and the third. But then we'll go on a short break. Yes, viewers, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back. And as I said earlier, that we'll be joined by ACG Dera Nnadi, MNI. He's Assistant Comptroller General, Strategic Research and Policy of the Nigeria Customs Service. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, before you came in, I asked Maiwada, who is good at what he spoke on. That is, what is it about the World Customs Day celebration? He has said quite a lot on that, but I would love to hear from you beyond the celebration, beyond joining all parts of the world to celebrate World Customs Day. What unique things are there for Nigerians as you mark this special day today, which you will celebrate tomorrow, Monday?
It is an appraisal of customs all over the world, but with emphasis on Nigerian Customs Service as an administration and aspect of the global customs. It is an opportunity for us to hear from our stakeholders who will come in and appraise what we are doing based on the theme chosen by the WCO for this particular year, which is customs delivering on its commitment to efficiency, security, and prosperity. And there's no better time to discuss such as now, because if you notice in Nigerian Customs Service, we've done so much to improve on our efficiency. I'm sure Maiwada made reference to those. We have also done so much to improve on the security of the nation and then on our national prosperity. And like I said, the emphasis on security is not just about the decisions we make in the seaport. It's also about improving our supply chain in order to improve the economy. Believing that as trade handlers, if we improve the supply chain and the trade processes, we will improve the economy of the nation, particularly the aspect that concerns manufacturing and industrialization.
All right, so I still have a follow-up. Of course, we will pick these thematic areas one after the other in more details. But still to you, when you talk about efficiency, we've all been traveling. You know, when you go to other countries, especially the advanced societies, you even rarely see customs officials, you know, at the corridors of going in and out, or even immigration or police or whatever. In fact, it is so seamless that sometimes if you get into a hall, you begin to wonder whether you are in the wrong place, because everything has been automated. You will be checked by machines and all that. But here, I think we are still battling with, not really battling, but then having your men, you know, checking people, asking questions and all that. Can you say that it is, you know, work in progress, that you are not yet there, as seen maybe in some international airports outside Nigeria?
There has been some tremendous improvement in our services. If you check historically, in 1891, when Customs was founded, it was founded by traders, the Royal Niger Company. The emphasis then was that they should collect tax from the locals in the hinterland. Then as time progressed, they added the marine aspect to join the enforcement aspect. That marine aspect was also collecting tax and improving on our services until 1975, where Customs merged. From then, there has been steady improvement in our processes. First, emphasis was on enforcement. Next, emphasis was on revenue collection. Now, emphasis is on trade facilitation. Now, what we have done is to add tools that will help us to deviate from physical appearance to using automation to conduct most of our businesses. But be that as it may, it takes two sides to tango. What we are trying to do is to improve the capacity of our officers to use these tools that are already mentioned by Maiwada, the AEO, the time release study, the advanced ruling, the trade modernization project, which we have invested so much on. But we also try as much as possible to improve the capacity of our stakeholders. I listened to Maiwada talk about some of these tools, but the sum of all the tools is integrity. We need to improve the integrity of our supply chain. And why I'm saying that is because every customs administration all over the world have areas that they focus on. In the US, they focus more on border management. In Europe, they focus more on migration, illegal migration. US will also focus on drug interdiction. In Nigeria, fortunately, we focus on all. We
all of them.
On all of them.
They are a source of concern.
That's some element of our development level.
All right. Now, Maiwada, I remember some years back, you outsourced some of this technology to improve your efficiency. Like there is what they call, is it Cotecna destination inspection or something. Are they still there? Do you still outsource some of these services from other people, or you have actually outfaced them? Now you are using homegrown, technology, or your own officers to take care of some of these inspections in the ports?
Well, I'm sure you are talking about the issue of service providers.
Yes.
That we have used Cotecna, Wavefontaine, the like of Global Scan, and so on and so forth. We have an ambitious 20-year concession agreement, which is trade modernization project. The aim is to automate all customs processes and procedures end to end. And we have started. And what differs from what we have done in the previous years is this engagement is an engagement that all custom officers are carried along. It's not build, operate, and transfer.
Okay.
It's to build together, operate together, as well as disengage.
Oh.
So I'll give you a practical example of what differs during the other engagement we had. Now, first, we are developing a new software, clearance software. We have developed, in fact, we have finished, almost done with pilot tests in PTML command, Port and Terminal Multi-Service Limited command, and we're moving to another command very soon. Now, that is an indigenous software developed by custom officers along with the modernization project team. So they work together. Like it's the first time we're developing an indigenous software, and that's why we're migrating from that NICIS to Nigerian Integrated Custom Information System to what is called Bodogu. And that software is very encompassing and very robust, and we are almost going to the next command in our piloting test. Now, the issue of non-intrusive inspection. I was privileged to be in a company of new tech in China. And one of the difference between what we did during the non-intrusive inspection technology previously by Global Scan and so on and so forth is this time around, the custom officers went for what we call factory acceptance tests. Now, they need to go and look at the scanners that we ordered for. We have the cargo scanners, air cargo scanners. We have the fixed scanners, F6100. Then we have also the mobile scanners. About 7 of them are already in Nigeria.
You procure all of them?
We are procured through the Trade Modernization Project. Now, the difference is you go and assess. First, you say, these are the specifications you want. You will tell those handling the project, and you will go and inspect and make sure were they built to that specification in terms of even radiation acceptance. Everything about the scanner, when you accept, you will sign, look at it for 1 week, and if you are okay with it before they will ship it to Nigeria. Secondly, maintenance contract. One of the problems we're having is maintenance, and now there is a maintenance contract on how to maintain these scanners.
Not just bring
them in. Then thirdly, there will be, New Tech have promised to domesticate a training center for Africa here in Nigeria because of this accusation of these scanners. So this is a little bit different. Similarly with Huawei, which is providing the backbone infrastructure for customs, we're building entirely a network system completely for NCS, along with custom officers. Now everything, every source code, everything that is developed with custom officers along with them. So this is a difference where we have a paradigm shift from normal what we used to do before in terms of the issue of service provider to a proper concession that customs are involved in every bit of process of the modernization process.
All right, SCG Nnadi, taking the second strand of the theme of this year, security, can we say you people are working at cross purpose? Because even today, there was a statement from NDLEA. They have intercepted cocaine, they have all sorts of drugs. And then you see the influx of immigrants coming to Nigeria. But one of your job role is actually border security also, even though immigration is there. How is the relationship between all these agencies, NDLEA, immigration, police to some extent, and your men?
The relationship between customs and other security agencies that also are involved in border interdiction is very cordial. Okay. I just left Tinkan Land Port, where the collaboration between customs and NDLEA was top-notch. I think between NDLEA and customs, we shared intelligence that led to the seizure of several containers of drugs. If those agencies issue statements about them, if you read the statements, you will see that there are some collaboration. The drugs we seize, sometimes there are intelligence that are supplied by NDLEA. Sometimes the intelligence is also sourced by customs through our international partners. And then we share with NDLEA. All the drugs that were seized in Tinkan, there were joint examination of the containers before. And just like I mentioned sometime earlier this week, we just destroyed 88 of such containers in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor. During that destruction, all the security agencies that were involved in interdicting those drugs came on board to collaborate for the destruction, and that included both NDLEA. Talking about migration from the borders, of course, we have the primary agency that is in charge of human movement across the border, which is Nigerian Immigration Service. Across all our borders, we share common intelligence too. Recently at Seme, I recall that we intercepted some traffickers who were some Nigerians who already trafficked outside Nigeria were brought back, and we jointly received them at the border, provided with the Immigration Service. That was sometime in year 2023. Provided support to those children, gave them some counseling before they were now handed over to NAPTIP, who was in charge of that. There has been some collaboration. We are not working at cross purposes.
All right, and the final one. part of the theme is prosperity. But going to border communities, take Megateri for instance in Jigawa, come to Kongolam in Katsina, and then Jibia also. When you go to Kamba, you know, when you go to, community, just the belt, you see the people are complaining, especially since when the borders were closed during the last administration. Of course, some of these places have been opened, but the theme of this year, prosperity. How do you now, create a nexus or otherwise between what you people are doing? Those people were very rich before. People around the border lines, all these places I mentioned, the people were very rich some years back, but now they are extremely poor. And they are talking about prosperity.
Well, number one issue that has to do with prosperity is our ability to contribute 6.1 trillion to the coffers of the government. That is used to develop all tiers of government. And I think we are enormously contributing to a prosperous nation. Secondly, in terms of policies of government, we are a government agency that implement government policies. However, we are also responsive and responsible agencies in terms of what we do at various communities. During the review of last year's performance in 2024, the Comptroller General of Customs reeled out what we should anticipate in 2025, some key points, driving point for our activities in 2025. And one of the key issues he mentioned is intentionality in our corporate social responsibilities. And this is the first time we are being intentional, we are being deliberate about corporate social responsibilities. And very soon the controller will deploy a controller, or Comptroller General of Customs will deploy a controller in charge of CSR.
Corporate social responsibility.
Yes, corporate social responsibility.
Meaning to reach out to some of these areas.
And we are looking at two issues. We are going to align ourselves with the economic policy of the present administration, as well as the sustainable development goals. Those are areas where we look at areas and pick 1 or 2, 3 areas we can do to give out, give back to the societies in which we operate. So we are going to be very intentional in 2025 to make sure that our host communities, we only not perform anti-smuggling activities, we also see them as members, as Nigerians, who we need to also serve more effectively. So that intentionality in CSR is one of the issues we are going to do as an agency of government to also contribute to the prosperity of these border communities.
Okay, SCG, ordinarily these communities that I mentioned should just prosper naturally, instead of waiting for the corporate social responsibility. And there are many countries that are completely landlocked, but then they have these instruments, customs, immigration, and all that, that do the right thing to make businesses legal there, so that you can import through the land border without, suffering and all that. Are you also looking towards that direction? Because as I said, almost 7 states, from Sokoto, you go to Kebbi, you come to Katsina, you go part of Kano, and then you go to Jigawa, Yobe, and Borno. That is the north. And on the other side, you also have a number of states that are around the, coastal area. But they are all having challenges in doing businesses. Is it maybe lack of manpower that you are looking onto, or you are going to also leverage technology to put them together so that these people will actually prosper naturally by engaging in trade and commerce?
Thank you. Historically, we are aware that the people at the border stations between Nigeria and its proximate neighbors have some cultural, religious, and affiliations that we must respect. As part of what we are going to do under the CSR that has just been introduced, is to work with the Border Development Agency that's already existing. The CDC mentioned it in his speech. They already know and identify some of the challenges that these border communities have. And part of the things that we have advocated previously is to encourage what we call cultural diplomacy. That is recognizing that these border station communities, be they across our proximate neighbors or be they in Nigeria, share some affinity before the colonial era, either by language, by religion, or by tradition. Once we recognize that, which is part of what the CSR will address, we will accommodate the interests of these border communities. We're also going to benefit from that, because we're going to get their buy-in to partner with us in promoting trade across their communities.
All right, yes. Maiwada, during the budget difference, when your CG, of course, interacted with joint committees of on finance, that is led by Sanu Musa in the Senate, and then the senator from Lagos, from the House of Representatives. Now, you mentioned, I mean, the CG mentioned that you were able to beat your target of 6.5, if I'm not wrong, right? 6.5 trillion.
That's what we collected 6.1.
Exactly.
Our target is around 5 point something.
Exactly. You collected up to that. But then I think to their surprise, they say, how did you do that? So we want you to share with our viewers. How did custom got to that figure? And then this has been shoot upwards to between 10 and 12 trillion. They say you should bring it. Don't you think that you put yourself in trouble by telling them that this is what you are able to achieve in the preceding year?
Well, it's a reward for hard work, more work. We have worked hard, and it doesn't happen just by accident. There were intentional issues in terms of looking at first engagement with stakeholders, propagating compliance with stakeholders, blocking all the loopholes, ensuring that the officers also who perform these functions are well managed in terms of capacity, in terms of welfare, and so on. So there are so many issues that led to that success story. However, we are servants, we are public servants, and we have to respect all arms of government, and we have to work assiduously with them. There is wisdom in whatever they have said, and I'm sure we are going to harmonize all those decisions, and we are going to do what is.
Is it the removal of subsidy that also catapulted your fortune? We have it there on the screen. You can see the target for 2023 was 3.67 trillion, and then you got 3.2, and then that of 2024 5 point this, and then you overshoot the runway.
I think if you look at the nature of importations, also might change. Sometimes you can have low number of throughput of cargoes, however they are high value items. You understand? Sometimes you might have more importations, but they are low value items. So nature of importation, as well as effectively, doing our work. It's a very technical job. It does not take, it's not an easy task to collect the revenue, to classify those goods, to value those goods, assess, collect those duty. I think it requires expertise, it requires technical know-how. So, and I'm sure my boss will add more to this.
Exactly. And maybe to add a question to what he, we are both journalists, yes. Maiwada.
I think this very question has been recurring, and CG addressed it substantially during the annual Comptroller General of Customs conference. There are several indices that give rise to increased revenue collection. But I think one of them is when the trading community have confidence in the regulators. I think the CG has enjoyed the privilege of having the trading community have confidence in his administration, leading to voluntary compliance. So people that hitherto did not want to pay duty now believe that they need to pay duty.
Are they getting value for it?
Because they are getting value for it. And I will tell you one other thing. Recall that before the CGC came on board, the port access road was inaccessible for 13 years.
I also have a question on that, and then maybe you can naturally
that
answer.
That limited opportunities available to our ports.
The long queues.
The long queues.
They are no longer there,
or
they
are no longer there.
Or they have reduced.
The access road has been completely cleared through the intervention of Nigerian Customs Service, Nigerian Ports Authority, Nigerian Police, and of course Lagos State Government. These things added value to our competitiveness within the sub-region, and then diverted cargo that hitherto wouldn't have come to our ports into the port. Then coupled with the fact that the tools Maiwada earlier mentioned introduced confidence in our supply chain, the AEO, the advanced ruling, the time release study that was conducted, for which the CG will unveil the result later on, and of course the improved capacity of our personnel. There's one other thing that we did. While training our personnel, we also made conscious effort to also train our stakeholders, the traders, So that synergy led to improved compliance and then increased revenue.
Okay, Maiwada, there is this allegation that in the drive to generate more revenue, your men or even your technology tend to compromise, and hence the issue of proliferation of illicit, maybe drugs or arms or other contraband, simply because the attention is more on generating revenue rather than ensuring trade facilitation, enforcement and compliance, and then public safety and all that. Could that be correct?
Well, I beg to disagree with that, because if you look at what we have recorded in 2024, you will agree with the fact that we are very deliberate about those three aspects of our job. We want to facilitate legitimate trade. We also want to collect revenue as well. We want to protect our borders. And it is evidence, the quantum, I am using this quantum, the magnitude of illicit drugs we have intercepted in the year 2024 and even before. And that the product of the destruction that is going on. Just last week we have started destruction of over 80 containers of drugs. So
those drugs, are they really
they could be expired drugs.
Okay.
They could be drugs that are used for abuse. They are different categories of drugs.
Viewers will say our primary health care centers are bereft of drugs. Why can't you give them?
Those are drugs that are not fit for human consumption.
But what other things do you seize?
There are others. There are cannabis sativas.
Okay.
We seize cannabis. In fact, there was a time we handed over. Do I say a kind of, Dala in Kano, Dala Angola?
Yes.
So the Dala
the
of
famous rock.
So the Dala, Dalangeda.
Yes.
I just want to make it so Dala of cannabis sativa. We handed over to NDLA in Abuja. We seize enough drugs and we hand over to NDLA. Now, in terms of arms and ammunition, we have seized arms and ammunition in our seaports. You can recall the seizure of arms we had in One ports. Those are also a very, very substantial amount of arms and ammunition. We have seized in our airports. In Murtala Mohammed Cargo Airport, we have seized arms and ammunition and military, other military equipment. We are seizing unmanned aerial vehicles that are imported without EUC, that is end user certificates.
Which are being used by terrorists and all that now. Yeah.
So we are very intentional about security. We are intentional about efficiency. We are also intentional about the prosperity of our nation.
Yes, the other aspect of what he said is prosecution. Here in Daily Trust, honestly, we try to do a big story about your successes, especially in respect to interception of arms, capture of arms, in Port Harcourt, in Lagos. Why is it difficult for you to mention names? Just the way it is difficult for the military to mention names of those behind oil bunkering and all that. Why is it difficult? Over to you, sir.
It is not difficult to mention names, but investigation sometimes
for 10 years, because we'll be trying to do our story for...
for 10 years we have data, but for recent seizures, sometimes you protect the identity of the importers of this in order to make more seizures. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes in 2024, we intercepted 2 container loads of personal effects laced with cocaine.
Cocaine?
And we decided then to keep the identity of the importers while sharing logistics and intelligence with NDLA. That led to the interception of similar imports at the airport. The owners felt that, we have let go, and they shipped another source. This time not through the seaport, but through the airport, and it was intercepted. In fact, we had surveillance at their warehouse, the 2 warehouses they were using with NDLA, and at the end of the day, when they brought in the airport consignment, it was intercepted. Shortly after that, we picked the 3rd container of heroin from the same source, and then they were all rounded up, including the ones that had earlier brought in and kept in their warehouses, from preparing to package again out of Nigeria, being a transit country. So it's not all the time that you have to share the intelligence until you conclude investigation. You don't need to expose some of them. I'll give another example. Those that were importing the banned cough syrup that is laced with codeine, Now, when we intercepted the first 6 containers in one of the seaports, it was kept. We took the containers, but we decided not to publicize until One busted almost 16 containers of the same consignment. And then Tinkam busted 14 containers of the same consignment. Then we went public with identity. And those people are being prosecuted.
And Maiwada,
for the arms and ammunition, all the arms we seized in Port Harcourt, as well as in Cargo, we handed over to National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. And the last time the center visited the CGC, there are headways. We are tracing even the source of those items from Turkey. From Turkey. And I'm telling you, as soon as we are done with the investigation, the Office of the National Security Advisor they are going to unveil those behind this. But if we reveal now,
in the media, that has been agitating our minds.
And there are headways. In fact, we have identified the consignee, the person who sent this item from Turkey, but it's going to be made public through the right quarters as soon as investigation is concluded.
All right, you take your head so high about revenue generation, helping to providing income for the country. Where do you belong on this tax reform, Maiwada tax reform? Because partly it is said that by the time we have the national tax or national whatever, you know, they are going to change the name of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Will that spell doom for your organization?
Well, Nigeria Customs Service is an agency of government established by the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023. That is the extant act that we are working on. And we are working under a law, and whatever the law states, we are going to act on it.
Will you run out of business, sir?
We are not going to run out of business. We are not going to run out of business.
But if they now say, okay, just concentrate on trade facilitation, don't collect the money, concentrate on enforcement and compliance, concentrate on border security, do you think your agency will be attractive?
Customs process and procedures is the same all over the world. Okay. We are not going to run out of business. We will remain very relevant.
And that is why we are celebrating International Customs Day. Customs divide, borders divide, customs connect. So we are connected all over the world.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes to wrap up the program, and it's very important we open the telephone line so that our viewers will call, ask you 1 or 2 questions, or contribute to some of the things you mentioned. And viewers, over to you. Please use the telephone line displayed on your screen and call, or don't use foul language. Ask question or comment on what, of course, ACG Nnadi, Dera, and Assistant Comptroller General, Strategic Research and Policy, and of course, AC Abdullahi Maiwada, Assistant Comptroller of Customs, who is also the National Public Relations Officer of the service. They are ready to entertain your questions, comments, and remarks. Over to you. But who will I ask now? Maybe I should just throw the question. And it's outside the celebration, because we have asked a lot of questions. This issue of recruitment, there are allegations that the CG, and maybe with your support, was able to tilt to a certain part of the country at the detriment of other parts of the country. Can we say that customs is actually a national
Well, let me start by saying the issue of recruitment, we advertise for a week. We open our portals to all Nigerians.
All Nigerians? All
Nigerians, and they applied. They came out en masse and applied. There is approval by the federal government to employ about 3,900 officers into the Nigerian Customs Service, and we have over 500,000 applicants as at the time we have closed the portal.
I don't know the percentage.
So that is the first step of the recruitment process. Okay. The next stage, we are going to announce, we are going to publish on newspapers, including Daily Trust, the way we have published in Daily Trust. So we are going to do that to make sure that all Nigerians have access to this information. And we want to tell Nigerians, we have received some messages yesterday, some fraudulent individuals have started sending some emails, fake emails in the name of invitation for examination or whatever.
And it's all from you?
It's not from us.
All right.
We are going to issue all statements through our official communication channels.
All right, Mr. Nnadi, before you say something, it's like we have our first caller on the program. Hello, welcome to the program.
Good evening, Hamza Idris.
Yes, this must be Shamaki from Nasarawa, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're welcome to the program.
Right.
And of course, we have in the studio ACG Dera, Nnadi, and AC Abdullahi Maiwada. Yes.
Custom officers, good evening at this point in time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, in the history of Nigeria, there is no agency that are bringing revenue to Nigeria except, like custom.
That no agency,
Well,
what? Shamaki?
Yeah, yes, you said?
Repeat what you said.
I say in the history of Nigeria, no agency has ever bring revenue like custom to Nigeria.
Okay.
That is the true part of it, because we have been saying it. But the question I'm asking, we are seeing on daily basis, a person used to impound so many items, drugs, illegal things. But the question is, I don't know whether if what we are seeing on television is true, that those things are being burned to ashes, or some are being diverted to their own personal use with their officers.
All right.
Thank you across TV.
Okay. Thank you, Shamaki. Mr. Nnadi, maybe you should answer this. The first aspect is actually commendation. I don't know whether he is right or he is wrong. That custom, no agency. I don't know whether NLPC brings in money more than you, or but then is it really true that whatever we see on television or read in the newspaper is the true picture, no back door dealings?
Let me thank him for the commendations he made about customs and revenue generation. But let me also state that there are categories of cargo that is seized. If we seize illicit drugs, expired drugs, of course, we are not expected to pass them back to the society. They are destroyed.
And they are destroyed. I think the question he asked is, are they being destroyed in true sense of, if you have maybe 5 containers, you destroy 5, or is it that you do the ceremonial destruction of one container?
One thing that is significant is that those destructions are not done in isolation with outside other agencies. Take, for instance, the latest destruction that we just carried out, 88 containers of illicit drugs. It was done in conjunction with the Office of the National Security Advisor, with the presence of NDLEA, NAFDAC, and all relevant agencies that has to do with interdiction of illicit substances. That destruction is still ongoing, because those who went to do destruction are still in Lagos where destruction took place. Now, for other items that we seize, for instance, when we seize rice, if the rice is still consumable, I'm sure you've noticed that sometimes we give to the public.
IDPs,
sometimes we give to IDPs. If we seize used clothing, for instance, we give to IDPs. The only items that we destroy, immediately we seize them because we cannot keep them, are unwholesome poultry products that are seized. Because you cannot store them, customs destroy them by burying them. Now, if we also seize petroleum products, they are sold off at public auction because they're inflammable. You cannot, and some of these auctions are public.
All right. We have the next, who should be the last caller. Hello, welcome to the program. And let's have your thought in less than 1 minute, please, because we are running short of time. Hello? Hello? Yes, I think, can you increase the volume of your phone or get closer to the phone? Yes. Hello? Unfortunately, we're having issues. Maiwada, we are wrapping up the program. Now, maybe you will say something on what the SCG said, but final question or final comment from you on the program tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow at the Custom Headquarters by 11 a.m., the Comptroller General of Customs will be hosting the Honorable Minister of Finance as the special guest of honor to celebrate International Customs Day. And the essence is we want to look at how Nigeria Customs Service is contributing its quota towards efficiency, towards security, and towards prosperity. And one of the key highlight of that event is awards that will be presented, signed by the WCO Secretary General, to confer awards, WCO Meritorious Award, on officers that have excelled in different aspects of their jobs. And we're also going to celebrate stakeholders. Part of them, we have invited 3 stakeholders that are also going to be beneficiaries of this award due to their extraordinary performance, extraordinary contribution to all the components of this theme of 2025.
All right, and finally from you on the program tomorrow, what should Nigerians expect beyond the celebration?
What they should expect is that part of the excitement of the celebration is that those that are receiving awards tomorrow are very young officers who will drive the vision of Nigerian Customs Service for a very long time.
In terms of rank, promotion?
Both in terms of rank, in terms of age, and it shows the level of commitment from those young officers that have demonstrated so much capacity in the 3 sub-teams of the team for this year, which is efficiency, security, and prosperity. And the companies and the corporate institutions that are being given award tomorrow have also demonstrated enough in contribution towards Nigeria's prosperity. So I'm actually excited that we have identified promising young men, and then that the CG and the WCO is rewarding them for them. That shows enough motivation for those that are still serving.
I wish I have more time to ask whether you also use stick, like what the EFCC did, a few days ago, naming and shaming some of their officers who were found guilty of infractions.
It's always carrot and stick.
Okay, you also deploy that.
Of course,
all right.
We have a discipline seat.
All right, thank you very much, ACG Dera Nnadi, MNI, Assistant Controller General Strategic Research and Policy, for coming to the program.
Thank you.
And of course, AC Abdullahi Maiwada, Assistant Controller of Customs, also National Public Relations Officer of the service, for your informed perspective on this. We hope to have you some other time.
Thank you so much for this great opportunity.
And viewers, that's a wrap for today's package. We hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Sunday Politics, airing every Sunday, and then Daily Politics, airing between Monday and Friday for more interesting topics. From here, bye-bye for now. I am Hamza Idris.